If you were to distill Soviet bias down to the form of a single tank, the IS6 would be it. This tank basically has everything going for it. The 122mm D25 has really high alpha, 390, and yet for all that it doesn't lack anything in DPM. The armour is only 100mm thick, so the vehicle is light enough to be mobile and manoeuvrable, and yet it comes pre-angled so that the effective armour values are staggeringly high, and you barely have to consider at all how you're angling the vehicle. It essentially drives itself. The gun's accuracy is a god-awful .4, but as every map is essentially a corridor fighter, you can insert the barrel into the enemy tank before pulling the trigger, and with the way that accuracy is calculated in the game, if you find you really need to pick off a weak spot, all you need to do is sit still for the aiming cycle to complete, and then the way that the bell curve distribution works effectively means that 9 times out of 10 the shot's going to go exactly to the centre of your reticle. So I'm platooned here with Mad McFluffin, the Think Clan's head person wrangler. She's a bit more used to low-tier play, as her first tier 8, the T28 prototype, rather soured her on the experience. But she's taking to the IS6 like a duck to water. You can see she's really relishing the more aggressive playstyle that it affords. And if you want a nice aggressive brawler that just shits out credits like it's on a laxative binge, you really can't go past the IS6. The enemy Target 2 overextended itself, putting itself in a position where we could wrap around it and just chew it up with shots into its soft side. And now we're in a position where we can continue to envelop the remainder of their force over here. Neither the IS nor the Lerva have the armour that's going to stand up to an IS6, and they're going to be unable to shoot their way out of trouble, so we can just systematically dismantle this pair. Top tier, the IS6 is just a bully. I can keep the IS tracked as long as I want, and it just can't get an effective shot at me. There is absolutely no pressure here, not a sweat broken. We can just close in and finish them at our leisure. Unfortunately, we have a wealth of unnecessary support over here. Mad and I could have quite effectively finished off the IS and the Lerva ourselves, without this swarm of allied vehicles riding our coattails. And this has rather unfortunately left the rest of our team at the tender mercies of the majority of the enemy tanks. Now I'm sure that Cromwell had a method, but all I see is madness. Anyway, it's at about this point that the penny drops and we come to the shocking realization that we have nothing on or even near cap, and the enemy has complete secure control of it. So it's time to throw caution to the wind and go straight for that cap. Going full Soviet here. I will not be stopping to aim, I will not be angling, I'm just going off straight, full speed ahead, and send the consequences to the gulags. Unfortunately, our full force of slow heavy tanks is taking the long way around to the enemy, so to speed things up I'm going to take some shots on the move, bias, take a hit from the STA-1, and then spot a Cromwell to share the bias with. Don't aim, don't angle, just trust and stall it. Every shell that the IS6 carries knows that if it were to miss, it would be shot for insubordination. Shells that do not find their mark are traitors to the motherland, so it is good to know that the IS6 carries only the most patriotic munitions. It appears that my gun breach has been infiltrated by fascist sympathizers. Unfortunately for me, the enemy knows what they need to be doing here. They're tracking me to prevent me from getting into the gap or eliminating the threat posed by the SDA-1. We've got the advantage of numbers, but we don't have the luxury of time, meaning that our force is getting spread out so that the enemy can isolate certain parts of it and just take them off piece by piece. And I'm just hemorrhaging hit points trying to get to that cap and hold the enemy off long enough so the rest of our forces can get there in any sort of state that they can fight effectively at the end of it. And now I give my life in service to Russian bias. Our T-34-1 has made it into position, but I don't know if he's aware of how the cap mechanics work. As each enemy accrues cap points independently, yet he's only resetting the same one over and over. So he's effectively only resetting about 5 cap points each shot. And as you can see, the T-34-85 still has the 50 cap points to his name. If the T-34-1 had just pressed around and shot once into the T-34-85, that would have bought us a lot of time and we could have dealt with the STA-1 before rushing into the cap circle. It would have taken the enemy close to 2 minutes to generate the same number of cap points over again, during which time that T-34-85 is contributing nothing to the fight, and thereby allowing MAD and the Tiger P to pump shots into the STA-1 and swing the numbers back in our favour. As it is, we're down to a Derp VK and a Tiger P with its legendarily bad DPM to try and seal the game. As you'll be able to see on the map, the T-150 and the OI getting jumped by the T-69 and KV-13, isolated because they lacked the speed to keep up with us, and as noted, we lacked the luxury of time to stick together as a cohesive unit. So now the Tiger P is forced to deliver a death ram. Nice. So we're still in an okay position. The Tiger P's got a lot of hit points left. The STA is a 2-shot. If the Tiger and VK can finish him off quickly, they'll hopefully be able to engage the T-69 when he pops his head up. Depending on how loose the T-69 has been with his premium shells, he may have difficulty penning the front of the Tiger P. But then the Tiger P offers himself up as a sacrificial lamb to the STA-2. Long tank with no side armor. This goes down about as well as you can predict. And not to be too harsh to our little heroes here, they did fairly well in this game, fighting against much tougher opposition, in terms of both skill and maneuverability on steps, but it's high-tier mediums versus low-tier heavies. There's pretty much only one way this can end. From what I can recall, the gun handling on the Tiger P's Long 88 is deceptively awful, so this ridgeline fighting's not favouring him that much. And at the same time, he lacks the gun depression to go up and chase the STA down. And the VK is running the derp, and is about to make the unfortunate acquaintance of the T-69. The fact we lost this game proves that World of Tanks has less Russian bias than War Thunder.